Welcome to 60 Plus, a partner series to 60 Minutes in 60 Seconds, where I'll be able to share additional thoughts on games that I've continued playing beyond my initial 1-hour trial. Some of you may have been wondering why I've had a larger than usual gap in between my video uploads recently. In all honesty, it's Factorio. Factorio is why. In fact, it has taken over my life. I knew that it would if I didn't step away immediately when I first started playing it, which is why in my original impressions, I gave it a game over. Not because it was a bad game, no, but because it was a really good one, and I knew it would be hugely time consuming. So after that video went live, I deleted the game off my computer and tried to forget about it. Then, a short while back, my wife was looking for a new game to spend some time with. She doesn't play many games at all, but the ones that she enjoys the most are those related to resource collection, management, and crafting. Throw in some light puzzle elements and she'll be hooked. I suggested several games for her to try, and among them was Factorio, and I should have known then what was about to happen. After several days of her being intensely focused on the game, I glanced at her screen to see what she was working on. She excitedly showed me her production layouts and asked me if I could think of a way to improve it. And that's all it took. Both of us literally got nothing else accomplished that day. We didn't even get up from the couch we were playing on, except to collect the food we ordered for delivery and to use the bathroom. Now, it may not be obvious what makes this game so compelling, but let me see if I can break it down some. The eventual goal of the game is to build a rocket and leave the planet, but you only start with a pile of rocks. To get there, you have to advance through a tech tree and craft a series of more and more complicated items. Researching them takes massive amounts of resources, and frequently requires the combining of 2 or 3 previously made gizmos. These supply chains have to be planned out in advance, and can always improve. And it's this fact that makes the game so insanely addictive. There's an old trope where a man comes home, turns on the light switch, and the bulb doesn't come on. Then he goes to the drawer to get a spare, but the handle falls off the drawer. So then he heads to the closet to grab a screwdriver to fix the drawer, but the door squeaks while he opens it. Eventually, one thing has led to another for so long that it's difficult to remember that the initial issue was that the light bulb burned out. Factorio is that chain of events distilled down into video game form. I ran into a situation where I needed copious amounts of copper coil, but copper coil can only be made from copper plates, and copper plates can only be created from copper ore, and copper ore comes from copper fields. But to mine the fields, I needed to build drills. To build the drills, I needed iron plates, and those needed iron ore, and to power the drills, I needed electricity, and my only electricity was a mile away. So that meant that I had to build power lines all the way across the map. But then, I started having brownouts and I had to increase my power generation. When all was said and done, if the copper plates that I originally set out to make weren't enough to meet the demands of the machines further down the line, then I had to go back to the drawing board and try to make everything yet again more efficient. It's a constant game of whack-a-mole, where one thing leads to another and hours fly by. Frequently, I'd even forget what initially set me off in the journey in the first place. One of my favorite parts of the game, though, is that it can be as complicated or as simple as you want to make it. If you don't want to get involved with combat with the locals, you don't have to. Don't care about the efficacy of your machines? Nothing says you have to produce items quickly. That's a self-imposed goal. Want to use layouts of proven factory workflows? Just download them from any number of websites and import them. There are many advanced features and items in the game that I know I'll never use, but I love that they're here. Things like rail systems and circuit networks. I have no idea how they work, and thankfully they don't hinder me in my attempts to find enjoyment. They're merely options for people who want to dive even deeper into the game. And who knows, maybe one day I will eventually get into them. I just haven't yet. The strangest part of all of this is frequently my wife and I have checked in with each other, asking if we're actually having fun, and I don't think either of us have ever actually said yes. Fun isn't a word that I'd use to describe Factorio, but it is engaging, and figuring out supply chain limitations and then fixing them can be extremely rewarding. That is, until you discover that the next item on the tech tree requires double the amount of copper coils that are currently being produced, and you're back to the drawing board once again. You know what to do.